Hello everyone and welcome to what will be a Smackdown watch party with a little tiny bit of spoiler warning involved in there because yes, as Sean is immediately saying in the chat and as the YouTube chat has been a buzz about, Matt Riddle has announced on his Twitter account that he is no longer with the WWE. We'll have news on that, but we also of course have a Smackdown watch party to enjoy. That being a Smackdown which features Becky Lynch, which features John Cena and which features in what could well be the main event, but it depends on John Cena and AJ Styles, let's be fair. The Women's Championship match between Iyo Sky and Asuka that I've been excited for a long time. We also have the Street Profits basically firming up their position as the top heel tag team outside of factions like the Judgment Day in a match against Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. So it's going to be a crazy one. And yeah, it's not going to calm down for a while. John Cena opening the show suggests to me he and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa, which has been mentioned by PW Insider, might be our opening match. Adam says, hey Tom, I had to deal with some issues earlier. Hope it's all sorted for you, mate. Austin Palmeter says, I'm shocked on the Riddle news. I thought we were done. You clearly missed spoiler warning earlier today. There is quite a few people who've been released whose names haven't been made public as of yet. Chris Best says, good evening, Tom. It's been a while. Been so long, mate. Been so long, lovely to see you. And Charlie, formerly Carnage, says if anyone else who joins and doesn't know who I am, just Carnage, just as that was my nickname. Fair enough, mate. We currently have 16 people watching and 9 likes. One more gets us to 10. Be the one to make it happen. John Cena running down to the ring as we speak, and a really shaking up cameraman running alongside him. There is a big what in the crowd. Usually when it comes to releases and the like, you get a few cheers and a few chants. I think Dolph Ziggler might get a mention here from John Cena. That's possible. Matt Riddle unlikely. Bailey says, sadly, Riddle wore out his welcome and was more a liability than an asset. And you've got that right. Oof. I'll detail as much as I have on it in the first commercial break of the show. So first commercial break will go into the Matt Riddle news. It isn't a spoiler warning, but you guys know that it's a quieter show, so we can have a nice chill talk about wrestling topics and about news and the like. Ricky Thorne also here says, hey Tom buddy, once again. Welcome back, Ricky. Nice to see you, mate. We have indeed hit 10 likes. Thank you very kindly. We did, during spoiler warning earlier today, get an extra 8 subscribers. Every little does help, and every little does help us grow, and I very much appreciate all of you who continue to support the channel. I already have a short up on Matt Riddle being released. 15 minutes, 26 views, good start. Eric says, Tom, I actually liked Riddle a lot. That's a shame. Not going to be there a good time for you, I tell you, unfortunately. Dom says, what up, Tom and chat? Y'all don't forget to hit the like button or we're forwards for you. Dollar bill y'all. I believe we have a Cena sucks chant. Warring chants that he does love. Coup43 says, hello Tom, according to Sean Ross Sapp, Shanti the Adonis hasn't been released. He's slated to work a dark match after Smackdown. I was not able to get a straight answer as to the status of Ashanti the Adonis or B-Fab. Sounds like they've been kept on. Ricky says, I'm sorry Riddle is gone, but he needs to get himself together in his life. And Charlie says, don't worry Dom, hit the like button, make sure you do too. Megan is here, says, hello all, nice quiet couple of days we've all had. Yeah, do you remember those nice relaxed times? You've been here for some busy shows and for some busy times. Welcome, Megan. John Cena hyping up the crowd, getting them talking to him. Queuing up when to use the what chant. What is a Pittsburgh? Did the cheap pop come in, surely? Adam says, Dave Meltzer said the releases aren't expected to be big names, but you're not expecting names like a Bronson Reed to be cut, right? I don't know, Adam. I cannot sit here and tell you everyone who may or may not be released. Nobody can. Eric says, if you're a Matt Riddle fan, what I'm about to say will anger you. Writing was on the wall for him. He was a problem. WWE tried everything to fix his image. Sorry, but it happens. John Cena has confirmed that he's looking to compete tonight. He wants to wrestle. As I did report, he did provide WWE with a list of people he wants to work with. They will also provide him with some people to work with. LA Knight already happened. After a fashion. Solo Sikoa seems to be next up. Sean says, every time I hear about releases, I also fear for my favourites. And what about people who aren't your favourites? What about them? Sean, once again, I cannot sit here and say who was and was not on the list. I know I'm going to have to say that a few times. I get it. Joey says, hey Tom, did you get any info on why Riddle was fired? Yes, I did. We'll talk about it in the first commercial break. This is going to be very interesting, watching John Cena team with AJ Styles. Brad says Riddle's physical and mental health are what's important, and right now he needs to take care of himself. Chris says, I know it's far from it, but all these releases happening kind of feel like when they used to do mass releases after Mania. We're not quite there yet, but I don't think we're too far off, unfortunately. John Gillis says, Riddle was released by Endeavour as per Brian Alvarez, not WWE. Endeavour is in charge of WWE. I don't see the difference. I've mentioned previously, Endeavour, TKO, provide the information as to how much budget cuts need to equate to. Nick Khan then draws up a list, and then people get fired. You can call it whatever name you want. The people in charge of making sure people are released were in Endeavour. The people actually releasing people were in WWE. Don't know what Brian Alvarez is talking about there, but I appreciate your sourcing there, John Gillis. Joey, I don't think when it comes to Matt Riddle, I have information that will be shared during the first commercial break. Thank you, CS. I appreciate that. I don't know who that is, but I appreciate it. Kieran says if the match is Cena and AJ versus Jimmy and Solo, apparently that was a dark match last week. That does make a lot of sense. Does make a lot of sense. Oh, Sean, sorry. I do apologise. Thank you. The list that John Cena gave to the WWE. Gunter's name, to my knowledge, not on it. Megan says, Riddle's gone. Oh no, I'm so sad. And Charlie says, for some reason I'm getting more into Smackdown now. Usually a Raw person, but Smackdown is good too. I'm a Smackdown guy, have been for a while. There's an undercurrent to the chant. It took them a minute there, but they got an AJ Styles chant going. John says, I appreciate your content every week. Is Becky defending tonight? Becky's on a bit of a world tour to try and get eyes on the NXT Championship. I feel she might defend tonight, but I don't know for certain. Joey, yes, I did see that. And it does happen all the time. And my God, does that guy's theft of my work get a lot of views. Nothing I can do about it, unfortunately. My shows are free. The only other option would be to lock my shows behind a paywall. I don't want to do that. News should be free. News should be shared. He's just not a good person. It's not difficult to see when someone's just completely out for themselves. Gary says, what does Matt Riddle's NXT Tag Championship partner and his WWE career have in common? They're both done. Oh, okay. I get what you're saying. Dom says it would happen. You're a fan of SmackDown because of our tribal chief. I think it's worth mentioning that AJ Styles, of course, now John Cena's tag partner, does have teammates. He has the club. He has Gallows and Anderson. He seems to have forgotten that. Looks like we're going straight into it. Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa heading down. No microphones in their hands. With Jimmy Uso's music as well, as they try to establish him as being very separate from Jay. I wish him luck. The new music certainly helps. No Paul Heyman as well, which I feel is interesting. Hopefully during the actual event, we get a little bit more Paul Heyman to continue the little bit of tension building between he and AJ Styles. The very realistic tension. Logically, they're going to say no, and then it's going to be made as a main event. John Cena's taking his t-shirt off. But yeah, this feels like Paul Heyman's about to come down, ladies and gentlemen. Jimmy Uso drops off the apron. He gonna walk away. Joey says, I hope we're not going back to the mass budget cuts they did back in 2021. Megan says, it's still odd to me not hearing the Usos theme and getting Jimmy's singles theme. It's different. It's very different. Charlie says, I'm not a Smackdown fan because of Roman. It's because of all the surprises and legends that were on there. And Adam says, hey Tom, is Triple H the reason why LA Knight is being pushed or because of the fan reaction? Yes. That very much answers your question. Wiggly only cares about Asuka and Iyo tonight. You're not sure why you're watching the rest of the show then, mate. I'll give you a heads up when they go live. Might be the first match. Bailey says, if Paul Heyman moved on from the Bloodline, who would everyone like him to manage? I think there's some good options. I'd like to see him with Gunter, I tell you that. They've already started the advertisement. Iyo Sky with damage control defending against Asuka. Wiggly, once we get to that first commercial break, wait for it, we will start talking about that. A mention of The Rock. They will do a recap of The Rock's appearance, but they're trying to pop a rating regardless. Gary says, Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows are going to survive these cuts by being forgotten about, which might be an effective strategy, to be fair. Stranger things have happened. Our opening match will be the tag team match. The Street Profits, backed up by Bobby Lashley, as they start out their heel turn, will work with Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. They are to be accompanied by Zelina Vega. I'm excited for it. Tom says, if Iyo and Asuka tonight, Tom, you might be right about that Bayley spot for WrestleMania. Bayley seems like an ideal choice to win the Royal Rumble, I tell you that. Charlie, are you watching the show? I believe I just answered that question. The show certainly answered the question. Sean says, does Wrestle Features report news, Tom? They said Becky's being advertised tonight and she'll possibly be the dark match. That's not a news report, even if they are trying to claim it is. Becky being advertised is Becky being advertised, so that's not a news report, that's a fact. As regards the dark match, saying she's possibly going to be, not news. 23 Fresh says, do you think the WWE will re-sign any of the released wrestlers? It is far, far too soon for that conversation. Simply far too soon. It's like if someone offers me a job and then you say, okay, but will you go back to your previous job? I don't know yet. I've not tried the other job. Simply isn't possible. Right, first commercial break. Let's get a bit of news going. Also, as an aside, we have 23 people watching and 16 likes. 4 more gets us to 20. If you haven't hit like yet, please consider doing so. Matt Riddle has been released by the WWE. This actually took place yesterday with the amount of releases that we had then, but the information has now come through a little bit more firmly in Matt Riddle's case. It's a difficult one to be able to say with certainty what's happened here, but there are certainly huge suggestions and huge dislike when it comes to many people backstage. Matt Riddle, unfortunately, made a bit of a spectacle of himself. His challenges of Brock Lesnar, his challenges of Goldberg were not the only times he put up a challenge. He, in many ways, alienated more experienced members of staff and became extremely unpopular with people such as, for example, Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon, not a fan of Matt Riddle. This, of course, creates further problems because while certain people were fans, for example, Triple H, and Triple H really wanted him to be pushed, the fact that Matt Riddle was alienating a lot of the more experienced talent meant that he was struggling for people to work with. Triple H eventually provided disaster talks between Becky Lynch, Matt Riddle and Seth Rollins to smooth that out and get a feud going, but even then, Seth Rollins was never particularly kind during that feud. In fact, if not for Randy Orton, there is a very high possibility that Matt Riddle would have been gone a long, long time ago. The pairing was essentially created so that Randy Orton could keep an eye on Matt Riddle and keep him out of trouble, which he did to varying degrees of success. The fact that Randy Orton is currently injured means that essentially Matt Riddle has been left unchained, and it's starting to show. There was an issue on an airplane over the last few weeks, which has caused the WWE to essentially say enough is enough. Triple H was removed from the equation. Vince McMahon made a call. Nick Khan made an offer. Matt Riddle has left the company. There is a high possibility that the money saved from releasing Matt Riddle will go directly towards a new contract for people like Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Becky Lynch. Matt Riddle will not be missed by many people backstage, unfortunately, and he has an awkward habit of, when asked about something that he really shouldn't have done, saying that he didn't do it and then immediately admitting to doing it. There is plenty of evidence of this that you really should be able to find with ease. Where he has been accused of something, for example during the speaking out movement, has made it very clear that he has done what he has been accused of, and then asked why anybody cares. Matt Riddle was basically gunpowder waiting to explode. The WWE have gotten rid of him before he can. So yes, that is a situation with Matt Riddle. James says, they saying The Rock is back again tonight? No, they are not. They're going to do a recap. John Cena and AJ Styles have gone to Adam Pearce to try and make the match happen. Mention of Paul Heyman. You'll know AJ Styles had a reaction to that. It's going to be a part of the story. That is indeed what I said, Peter. Vince McMahon was never a fan of Matt Riddle. Though you're in every way wrong about the 2024 Royal Rumble. And you need to stop. We've said this so many times. You have to stop with the dogma. Eventually, I'm going to get too annoyed by it, and that'll be that. Yes, Wiggly, I do indeed remember that. I'm interested to see how the Street Profits make their entrance now. Because they're still getting a pop. Bobby Lashley introducing them. They're still hyping up the crowd. They're acting like faces. Even Bobby Lashley in many ways is acting like a face. Red Solo Cups. Only a few. Less than usual. There's certainly been more at times. Sai says, morning y'all. 196 days until WrestleMania. Hope you're all good. Charlie's stunned by that. Dom says, why is Zelina walking around with one flip-flop so she can hit people? Gary says, I'm curious to see if they'll mention Asuka and Iyo's history in Japan as part of the same faction. They seem more open to acknowledging non-WWE wrestling history now. They are. I think they'll talk about there being a lot of history, but I think they'll leave it there. And Anne says, according to Axios, a SEC filing was released saying that TKO was looking at Vince a hindrance to the company, hinting an exit. Can you confirm this? No. I have reported that TKO were unhappy with a lot of the negative press that Vince McMahon was getting. That was months ago that I reported that. Things have been smoothed out since. This is Axios way behind on the information. Joey, I directly mentioned both Goldberg and Brock Lesnar by name when talking about Matt Riddle being released. If you didn't hear it, by all means rewind. The Dude welcome says, AJ and Cena sharing a ring again, getting 2016 vibes. 2016 was a great time for wrestling. SummerSlam 2016, for me, the best match that the two of them actually put on. There were, of course, others, but that was the one for me. You must have, Joey. We're up to 27 viewers. 3 more likes gets us to 20. If you can, please remember to do so. And we are off with our opening match. 20 minutes in, the Street Profits taking on the LWOs, Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. I'm excited for this. It's going to be athletic. Beyond that, it's hard to say. But it's going to be athletic. We also need to see the heel dynamic that the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley are bringing to the table. I did say it'd be very athletic, didn't it? The Rock isn't here this week, Joey. That means there's actually time to do things. Wiggly says, could Kyrie return tonight? Kyrie could return any night. Wiggly, you know my preferred drink. You know that. Everybody knows my preferred drink. I got 48 cans of it for my birthday. Tells you everything you need to know. Everything you need to know. Juana Roscoe says, hey Tom, thank you for the news. Everything you report comes to light before it actually comes out. Is this the last of the cuts? No. I can't guarantee one way or the other. There are still more people listed in the cost-benefit analysis list. And it is a quite substantial list. However, they are likely to wait at this point and work out what the situation looks like once they've made some new signings and extended some contracts. There's a lot of money moving at once. The dude says, I was at SummerSlam 2016. Match was amazing to witness live, even in the nosebleeds. I cannot even imagine. Adam says, hey Tom, does Vince have a big say in who gets released or Nick Khan? Vince sets the budgets, Nick Khan picks the names. Fair enough, Charlie. Hope you have a good night. Peter says, will SmackDown be staying on Friday nights on USA Network? Yes. Yes, they did. Joey says, do you know if Nick Khan is trying to avoid a second round of budget cuts? Yes, and I've reported that on a number of occasions. He was trying to avoid a first round of budget cuts. The Lucasade Sport should hopefully keep me awake. I'm not sponsored. I never will be sponsored. I ain't rich enough for that gravy, as it were. So we're on to our second... Wow, I can't even word. We're on to our second commercial break now. And I just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to everyone who attended Spoiler Warning earlier today. Spoiler Warning was extremely well attended and we gained 8 new subscribers. That brings us up to 5,247, free away from 5,250. We are now starting to see the impact of the YouTube advertising beyond just the number of subscribers. Earlier today, one of my shorts from the 8th of September, 17 seconds on wrestlers willing to walk out if Triple H hires CM Punk, gained an extra 3,000 views for no reason that I can tell. But if we consider what I was doing with the YouTube advertising, one of the videos being pushed was a CM Punk video, that refers to CM Punk, so the combination thereof is essentially YouTube pushing my content to the new subscribers to try and convince them to come and check out the shows. That at the moment is what we're seeing in some of the shows that we're having as well. Always nice to see, and it makes me extremely grateful to all of you for your continued support. These shorts have been doing particularly well recently because 1, people are watching all the way through, and 2, the number of likes is going up. Every thumbs up on a short basically adds about 100 views. I'm not even kidding. It has a huge impact. So I just want to say thank you to everyone there. James said if they wanted to have budget cuts, why not remove some of Cody's pyro? Because it is not equatory numbers. Not even close. One says, according to Dave Meltzer, AEW contract ends next year. Like, all of it? You're saying that all of AEW ends next year? Joey says, do you think anyone will get signed from the Indie PC tryout from this week? Well, that depends on the status of the tryout. I wasn't there. Tom says, I watched Taker vs. Mankind King of the Ring. Even as an adult, now that fall looks even harder. I'm getting old. Imagine falling directly on your hip, as seemingly always happened with Mankind. Brad says, did you hear Vince Russo's comments about The Rock on SmackDown last week? I try not to listen to Vince Russo as often as possible, and that's done me pretty well for my career so far. Good night, Charlie. What deal, Juan? I don't understand what you're saying. When you say the current deal, what AEW deal? I don't understand. Joey said it sucks we'll never get a Randy and Riddle match. Never say never. It just may not be in WWE. Yeah, so probably never. Probably never. Bailey says, what are the rules on using independent contractors in the UK? Could WWE and AEW ever run afoul of these kind of laws? No, because the contracts that WWE wrestlers sign are based in the US. And thus, their laws apply, not ours. Gary says, Lucozade reps, if you're watching, we could have the Lucozade spoiler warning contains glucose. I mean, I'd take it if they are. Sponsorship is sort of the next stage for this show. I'm just wondering who's going to be sponsoring. I don't think anyone expects AEW to go out to business 60, Wiggly. I just need to get to the bottom of what's actually being said. Peter, I gave an update on the Drew McIntyre contract earlier today during spoiler warning, about an hour in. Santos Escobar looks set to get a hot tag. Montez Ford, curiously enough, allowing Angelo Dawkins to be the hot tag. Usually it goes the other way around. Christian says, seeing how UFC fighters are also independent contractors, I wonder why WWE are the only ones letting people go as part of the merger. Because it's UFC budget cutting. Sorry, wrong way around. It's not UFC budget cutting. It's WWE budget cutting. The two are not directly related. That is the second time someone has tried to dive onto Montez Ford and just cleared him. Rey Mysterio earlier off the ropes. Santos Escobar there off the top rope. They're missing Montez Ford. Yes, I prefer spoiler warning contains sass and sarcasm, otherwise known as sasscasm. Spoiler warning of the sasscasm. James, I need to know what you mean by people think. Do you mean random strangers who know absolutely nothing about the situation? If that's the case, I don't really care what they think. Adam says Vince Russo, him, Cornette, Dutch Mantel and Kevin Nash all get on my nerves. It's been nothing but BS, and you're certainly entitled to that opinion. Wiggly says, as I asked earlier with Dolph, what's your highlight for Matt Riddle? Without giving too much away, none of it. Chris says the UFC constantly release guys over the year. Thank you for clarifying that, Chris. Brad Becker says Vince said it was in bad taste with the office firings for The Rock to show up. Okay, so to be clear, you have a quote from Vince McMahon for that, yeah? I'm very confused by what you've said there, Brad. The dude says this new gear Street Profits have doesn't do it for me personally. I quite like it. It's very Black Parade. Not the best double knees that Santos has ever delivered. A lot of people missing Montez Ford here. It's very strange hearing Michael Cole mentioning finishing moves. Thank you, Brad. When you say Vince, I thought you meant Vince McMahon. I appreciate you clarifying. I was confused there. Fair enough, James. Joey says it seems like Bobby is more of a manager now. Right now he is, yes, because the Street Profits are the future. Peter says, how can WWE release Matt Riddle, but he was going to be in a storyline with Drew McIntyre? Easily. They just release him, which is what they did. Chris says, the Seth Rollins feud is my Matt Riddle highlight. Gary says, I was just thinking the same. Rey and Santos both have such creative, cool-looking gear in comparison. Again, I quite like it. Oh, lovely Sky High from Angelo Dawkins. Taking his lead from D'Lo Brown. This match is really picking up some pace. Hello, Gomar. How are you? Montez thrown out the ring. Gomar, so far you've missed the first match, which has been very good. And also the build to John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Once again, that's again Montez Ford at that point having to dive into the way to rescue Rey Mysterio, who was definitely falling with no control. Montez Ford just made a lot of fans backstage, I tell you that. Gordy, how you doing, mate? Says, what's up, Tom? Peter Insider reported WWE failed to trademark the name Jada Parker, indicating that will be Jade Cargill's WWE name. It doesn't necessarily indicate it, but certainly suggests it. Street Profits lose. Bobby Lashley's not happy. James says the UFC doesn't need budget cuts really, as they don't pay their fighters if they're not fighting. Different from WWE contracts and UFC contracts. Dom says, what a sell by Ray. I don't think it was necessarily intentional. And Dom has given us our first rating of the night. I give that match an 8 out of 10. Really enjoyed some of the pace. Montez Ford just got destroyed on a number of occasions. Not the happiest with the finish. And I do feel that Bobby Lashley was a little underutilized. Usually I'm annoyed at overbooking, but the whole point here was that Angelo Dawkins was trying to take advantage of Bobby Lashley's attack. He wasn't confident yet that he wants to embrace the heel lifestyle. Dom gives the match a 7.5. Sai gives it a 7 out of 10. Enjoyed it, but some weird botches from people I wouldn't expect. They were allowed them though. Yeah, it was just a little bit sloppy at times. They seem unhappy with Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley's walking away. Brad Becker gives the match an 8 out of 10 as well. Sean says, imagine Jay Cargill, Bobby, and the Street Profits. I do think that is a perfect pairing. Wiggly says, Ezekiel was funny to be honest, but he/Elias just couldn't get over. Pretty much. Ooh, Megan saying she saw someone making a graphic for Lashley, the Street Profits, Bianca Belair, and Jade Cargill. I'd take it. We are about to get a recap of last week with the appearance of The Rock. This is how the WWE essentially walks around, being able to say, hey, The Rock's back, come watch him. The dude gives it a 7 out of 10, says, I like how they're doing a slow burn rather than a full turn right away. Peter Clinton drops a lie into the chat, saying The Rock versus Roman Reigns is scheduled for WrestleMania 40 when it isn't. Adam gives the match a 9. Juan Orozco says John Cena versus AJ Styles in 2016 was memorable. Let's hope they duplicate again. Juan, they're not facing each other. They're a tag team. Kieran says, I wonder if fans have ever made a dream group and not put all black people together. There are situations where I'm a fan of it. There are situations when I'm not a fan of it. For example, there was a lot of talk about the Hurt Business becoming essentially just Nation of Domination 2.0. MVP was not happy with people saying that, and I think that's fair. Triple H not a fan of the nationalistic factions. Megan says it's an 8 for me. All 4 got some good spots, the action flowed well, and we got the nice story thread at the end. The recap works out pretty well for Austin Theory, but also not really. He's going to get beat up and everyone's going to watch and laugh. James says, is Brock Lesnar even in the conversation of being a GOAT? He's pretty much beaten all of the GOATs. The man knows wrestling. I don't think he gets enough respect, I'll say that. Christian, I don't have tips for that, unfortunately, beyond try and enjoy yourself. There does need to be a certain detachment between someone you're a big fan of and someone who can mean that your birthday is ruined. I think you'll be okay. Juan gives the match a 9 as well. Gary says, it blows my mind. Charles Robinson is 60 next year. He doesn't really age. He doesn't. He's still Lil Nate. Living proof that no matter how old you get, you can still be a little bitch. Adam says, Tom, according to BWE, just now, LA Knight's segment was pulled from tonight's Smackdown. Let's see if LA Knight appears on Smackdown, and we'll be able to see whether that is likely. We won't be able to see whether it's true. They might not have been booked in the first place. Austin Theory now needs to get his heat back, and as expected, the recap is a method by which he can do that. He's not happy, he's angry at the announce team. Wiggly says, I heard something said about the nation, as you know, Tom. I'm all for diversity and representation in wrestling, and more should be done on that. Yep, I'm still not a fan of nationalistic factions. Don't get it. I just don't get it. Peter Robert, once again, and for the last time, source your information or shut up. We cool? James says, Brock is just never in that conversation. It's very strange. I think just because a lot of people, because he's been a heel for so long, hate the guy. Triple H is rarely in the conversation when you talk about the Attitude Era, everyone raised on The Rock, everyone raised on Steve Austin. Triple H was also there. But because everyone hated him, doesn't get the love. Wiggly is disappointed with the way Asuka is being used. Hopefully, tonight, we'll convince you otherwise. Megan says, where's Bailey? Picking fights with Cole is her thing. Copycat theory. Copycat Austin. Copycat Austin. We have just hit 20 likes. Thank you very kindly for that. We're nearly at 100 views. And we are half an hour through WWE Smackdown. We've had our first match, which was a tag team match, the Street Profits versus the LWO's Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Things going pretty well so far, I've got to say, especially when you consider the main event is likely to be John Cena versus John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Adam Pearce seems unwilling to sanction the match as of yet. Maybe in the end it will be the match for Fastlane. I know it was originally going to be there. Yeah, one, that's just a ridiculous concept. Adam says it says it on Ringside News in the Smackdown spoiler lineup. Once again, Ringside News. I appreciate you sourcing, but Ringside News. Gilmore says if we're dropping lies in chat, I'll say CM Punk will return a crown jewel and defeat Roman for the championship. Go for it. Go for it. Give me hot takes. Give me the most ridiculous thing you can imagine happening in WWE over the next month. Give me craziness. Ross says, we've gone to bed and saw the Riddle news. Came on to see your thoughts on it, Tom. A 7 for that match. Appreciate that, Ross. I want you to zip back to about 10 minutes into the stream where we had the first Smackdown commercial break. I there detail everything I know about Matt Riddle. There's quite a bit of it. Quite a bit of it. So if you zip back to about 10 minutes into the stream, it should be there. Wiggly says, as regards Iyo Sky and Asuka, they're talented wrestlers, and tonight's their night. Brad Becker says Ringside News is a joke, which it is. Ringside News heralded the creation of Zero News, of BWE, of Brad Shepard. Basically, they made it popular to be dicks on main. And it's one of those where they don't have to be right. They just have to get shares. So the more attacked they get, the more people view their work. And the more money they make. Wiggly says, hot take, Goldberg ends Roman Reigns' streak. That would be horrible in every possible way. You definitely get what I'm going for. The dude says the 99-2000 Triple H run when he became the Game is legendary. The best heel in wrestling at the time. James heard something but won't say where he heard it from. Source your information there, James. Si's already got you on it. Fair play. Should have given you the benefit of the doubt there. Fair play. Joey says, do you know if Logan Paul will be at the Saudi show? Seems unlikely at this point in time. He could be, but it is more likely he'll return at the Royal Rumble. Anna Roscoe says, shouldn't Asuka versus Iyo be on a pay-per-view? Still could be. Not sure what's going to happen tonight. It could well be that distractions and interference result in the match being pushed back to pay-per-view anyway. Joey says, hot take, Goldberg versus Undertaker was a 5-star match. Oof. Ouch. That sounds like Nikki Cross. Oh, this is clever. Oh, right. It's Alba Fire. Scott Jackson. They're rebuilding Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Is that Indy Hartwell? Interesting. Austin Theory has found himself a Butch and a Ridge. A Ridge Butch. So says, dumb hot take, Nia Jax will return and destroy the women's... Oh. Looks like Grayson Waller and Austin Theory versus a Brawling Brute tonight. More tag team matches. They are rebuilding a tag division right now, aren't they? James says DX versus Brothers of Destruction, 5-star match. Match of the year. Kieran says, about time as regards Isla Dawn and Alba Fire. I do like that they're kayfabing the curse of the tag team championships. Ross says, Sting unexpectedly leaves AEW and finally challenges Taker at WrestleMania 4020. Bobby Lashley laying into the Street Profits backstage. The threat to go sit in catering certainly feels a bit more impactful now that there are people being released. Joey says, I was honestly surprised The Undertaker didn't get hurt in that match. That drop on his head looked nasty. He wrestles so rarely we don't know whether or not he did. Wiggly says, hot take, Bayley isn't jealous of Iyo. Sean says, a package for Alba and Isla. Haven't seen them since the unification match. They have not, in fact, been on TV. Wiggly is loving the hot take concept. Quite enjoying reading them, mate. We have a build-up for Asuka. Looks like this is going to be our main event. I don't think Cena and Styles in the tag team match is going to happen tonight. They're building up Asuka, which means logically, in about 20 minutes, they're going to build up Iyo as well. Having the build into the championship match. Sai says, I really hope the Street Profits thing is a swerve and not rowing back on a promising angle. I think the heel turn is a promising angle, to be honest. Not sure what the swerve would be that you're referring to. Adam says, I honestly thought Isla Fire, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire was going to be on the chopping block for a second. Joey says, is it true that they're trying to get Ronaldo for the Saudi show? Couldn't tell you. Haven't heard anything about it myself. Wow. Gary says, Joey didn't specify which stars. Goldberg Undertaker was 5 flashing GTA stars as a serious crime was committed. That's a good one, mate. That's a good one. James says, sources say Michael Cole versus Theory at Fastlane. That's obviously what they're building to. Juan says, WWE probably sees Jade Cargill as China 2.0. They do not. They see her as Jade Cargill, completely separate entity. If there was going to be a China 2.0, it would be Rhea Ripley, but there isn't. Ricky says, if Bobby wants the Street Profits to give him his suits back, he can give it to me. I remember being retweeted once by Shayna Baszler and Sonya Deville. The reason why is because they posted a picture of the two of them in suits. And I quoted it and said, it's not even fair. I will never look this good. And they retweeted it, which was nice. Chris says, I'm thinking the Cena tag match is what we get at the PLE. Would make perfect sense. Or not. Well, Asuka is on her way down to the ring. Asuka versus Iyo is not the main event. It might not even be the draw segment. Logically, they're going to get about 10 minutes before draw segment, so I feel like something's going to happen here. Chris says Jade Cargill will be Linda Miles 2.0. Kieran says Sonya looks so good in a suit, which indeed she does. Indeed she does. Literally cannot compete. She looks amazing at all times. Like, she was over. She was over hard. Gomar says, I hope they do another huge mystery opponent for WrestleMania next year. I've always enjoyed that concept. Brad says, hot take. Sid should get his pound of flesh from whoever made him jump off the top rope. Well, you said hot take. So I said, sorry, it meant Lashley turning on the Street Profits looking like a swerve. Hoping not. I hope not as well. James says, flies on Vince McMahon's wall say Charlotte versus Nia Jax MMA rules at Mania. You guys are really getting into this. Ricky says, this match is way too early. Something is up, Tom. Yeah, I get that feeling too. And one says, if they're going to give away free pay-per-view matches, I say main event. You might say that. Doesn't look like they do. Ross says 20 years later than should have happened. Horrible. By 20 years later, are you referring to Asuka versus Iyo? Because, like, wouldn't have been the same match. Not sure what you mean there, Ross. Help me out, please. We are currently 1 subscriber away from 5,250. If you've not yet subscribed and you're enjoying the show, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. It does mean further growth for the channel. It means you'll get notifications every time we go live. And it does mean that next week's Smackdown, you can join us all over again. And I'd absolutely love to have you. The Matt Riddle short that I put out, starting to get good traction. It's had 68 views so far in 56 minutes. At the stage of my career that I'm at with YouTube, any more than a view a minute is a very, very good number. But I can also put a link onto it to this show right here. Everybody who sees that short will also see that I'm live. Shorts when you're live. Good thing. Gotcha, Ross. Gotcha. That's where the 40-20 came from. Gotcha. Joey says Triple H versus Vince would be a money match. You say that as a ridiculous hot take, but you'd pay to see it. A lot of people would pay to see Vince McMahon get beat up. Adam says Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns for the 7th time at WrestleMania 40. Book it, pal. And Brad says hot take. Giant Gonzalez versus The Undertaker is criminally underrated. Ouch. Ouch. Like, some of these are, like, you guys hold grudges for a very long time. Brad, that was 30 years ago and you're still mad about it. And you know what? So am I. That match sucked. The Undertaker's streak was filled with a lot of stinkers, I'll tell you that. Like, they built him up as this undefeated monster, and credit to them for doing so. But there's a lot of bad matches in there. James says, guys, I heard Vince McMahon's going to win the Rumble and dethrone Roman at Mania with special guest referee Ryback. Yo, this is starting to hurt. Joey says, imagine if the Great Khali versus Omos happens at Mania next year. Juan says Great Khali versus Giant Gonzalez would have been epic. This... Y'all got some rage. Jenna Moroska versus Sharmell was the best women's match ever, says Chris Best. Kieran says the Undertaker streak only got good around Orton or Batista. Can't remember which one was first, which I think is accurate. I do believe it was Orton. The dude said, I love Undertaker, but Sid versus Taker at WrestleMania 13 was not a good main event. It wasn't a good pay-per-view. Wrigley suggests Doink the Clown was the greatest three-time WWE champion of all time. Adam Pearce is approaching Paul Heyman to try and make the match happen. Megan says, hot take, American fans should not be allowed to buy tickets for non-US pay-per-view shows. They get enough chances to watch the shows. Let us have our chance. If we ever bring in that rule, Megan, unfortunately, it would mean they can make that rule as well, and we'd never get to go to WrestleMania. So Asuka has made her entrance. And now with about 10 minutes to the hour, Iyo Sky is making hers. Decent pop for Iyo as well. James says Ryback versus CM Punk tables match at Mania 40. Joey says The Undertaker versus Shawn Michaels at Mania 25 was a great match. Wow, that's a hot take. Oof. Chris says it was Orton at 21. Thank you. And Joey says I think that was Undertaker's best Mania match. Hot takes. Brad Beck is showing some love for WrestleMania 2 and 9. Wiggly says the WWE Hall of Fame is the most respected, incredible institution in the world. Blue quite rightly saying Taker's streak was an accident, built simply on paying off Taker and his random monster feud at the time. Sean says, who do you see having a longer reign, Rhea or Iyo? Rhea, primarily because I think she'll go more than a year. Something just happened. The referee just communicated something to Asuka and she's not happy about it. They did reference the history between Iyo Sky and Asuka. Asuka is not happy with the referee about something. Megan says Orton was first, WrestleMania 21. Batista was WrestleMania 23. Quite close together then. Big match for right in the slap bang middle of a show. Asuka still does not look happy. But she's getting the pop and it's a good one. I'm just happy to see Dakota Kai. Gomez says hot take. Roman versus the Demon had a brilliant finish. Yeah, we still haven't had any explanation as to the broken rope. James says Eric Rowan versus The Rock was the best match of The Rock's career. The Rock in general, not actually the best wrestler in the world, I'll say that. Joey says CM Punk will do another shoot interview complaining about Ryback missing the table. Juan says Undertaker versus Batista at WrestleMania 23 had more build and emotion in my view. That's his view. Chris Best also glad to see Dakota Kai on screen. Me too, guys. I'm a big Dakota Kai fan. Team kick for life. Eric says WrestleMania 10 is the GOAT, which it is. And here comes Charlotte Flair. Why? This match isn't going to happen, is it? This is just going to be the definition of overbooking. She can't wrestle in that. She's done worse in heels. That is a hell of a split by Iyo Sky. She's a flexible person. I cannot do that. Ross says, I'm hoping for Iyo versus Asuka at WrestleMania. Too early for this one. Something will happen. Immediately it did. Chris saying, for Charlotte? Really? James says, of course, Charlotte wants to be in the title picture. Joey hopes we see Tegan back on TV. We'll see how that goes. Brad says, why is she here? I'd imagine we'll be finding out shortly. Bailey says the official told something to Asuka, then adjusted his audio device. Might be a message from the back. Yes, I believe it was. Sean, where'd you read that? Give me a source. Megan called it. Wiggly with the hottest of takes says Steve Austin prefers wine to beer. Miriam has come in purely to say that WWE is not excited. It is not aroused. It is not erect. Juan says, go away heat for Charlotte. Shove it down our throats. She got a pop. You know she got a pop. Joey saying much the same. Just a lot of hate for Charlotte Flair making her entrance there. Yeah, we're not happy, are we? Okay, tempo's high. Tells me they might not have a lot of time here. Because the tempo in this one is high. Joey says, Charlotte's going to interfere. So unpredictable. Well, let's see if that actually happens. Because if she doesn't, that's not so predictable. Ross says, where would you put Jade Cargill if she signs Tom? Raw, SmackDown, or NXT? NXT for 6 months. I'd have a debut by taking the championship from Becky. Defend successfully for 6 months. Lose it to whoever's up and coming at the time. Honestly, I'd be looking at a Cora Jade or a Roxanne Perez. And then move on to the main roster to feud with Charlotte after WrestleMania. Dakota Kai, just as a reminder, cannot get physical. She is not being cleared and will be cleared in a couple of months, 1 or 2 at most. Bailey, however, can, which means Bailey and Charlotte can certainly make some enemies of themselves. But it depends whether or not Bailey's actually that defensive of Iyo Sky. Historically, not a thing that she does. The pace is high. Logically, Charlotte's going to be an equalizer here. She'll get involved when Bailey gets involved. And then the overall distraction will cost Asuka the match. James says, can we just have one title reign without Charlotte having something to do with it? As long as Charlotte's losing, I'm alright letting her be involved. Chris says, as I watch this, I'm doing some online DJing. Tonight's theme is country music, and right now I'm playing of My Baby Tonight by Jeff Jarrett. Oh, I believe that was the roadie. Missed moonsault from Iyo Sky, and she just rolls through. Nice to see. Asuka in a good spot. Dakota Kai wearing her knee brace, which she hasn't been for a while. Blue says Dakota mentioned on a stream that she's probably not going to be cleared until 2024. That is indeed what she said on her stream. Brad says, Tom, I completely agree with your take on Jade. She needs NXT for a little bit, despite what anyone else says. You do need to pick up the WWE way, as it were. It is a thing, and it is something that should be considered. Megan says, is it safe to say Damage Control are going to be one side of the Women's War Games match? Unlikely. Personally, I think Dakota Kai will actually be back to wrestling at the Royal Rumble. The Women's War Games, I don't know about. I'm really not sure. Adam says, hey Tom, it says that posted that you would have news on Vince McMahon and more releases when you go live for the Smackdown watch party. Said I'd have news on Matt Riddle, Vince McMahon and the WWE releases, and I reported on Matt Riddle's WWE release more details as to the fact that the list is still going and Vince McMahon's direct involvement with the releases and his direct opinion of Matt Riddle. About 10 minutes in, zip back, you'll get it. James says, Michael Cole said if Asuka doesn't win, she goes to the back of the line. Let's see if that actually happens. Blue says, Tom, you said that like you know something about Dakota we don't. Yeah, I did. Of course, Chris. Joey says, did you watch Mansoir and Marseille's Twitch stream? It was pretty entertaining. Didn't watch it live, got some clips afterwards. Bear with me 1 second. And I'm good. Sean Sources said Bad Bunny said that in an interview to Vanity Fair. Appreciate you clarifying and giving us a source on that. Bailey says, longer term, do you think NXT is going to remain a developmental brand or to move to Disney reposition it as more of a third main roster brand? It will still be developmental, but there's no reason you can't be both. No reason you can't be both. Thank you guys, appreciate that. I did mention the brace. That's true. It's new, isn't it? She wasn't wearing a brace for the last couple of weeks. Suddenly it's there now. That's all I can say. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Chris, for making sure that the demon doesn't escape from my face. For those who don't know, I've always had a demon living in my face. It's been there a long time, and it doesn't seem like it'll leave anytime soon. Demon in my face. We are back with Iyo Sky versus Asuka. Nothing yet from Charlotte or Bailey, but I'm confident the moment will be coming. James says AEW's hype died off. Doesn't seem like many people go anymore. It's a little more calm. It's a little more calm. I think unfortunately that's just something that happens over time. Law of diminishing averages. Adam says, Sean Rossap, Fightful, just confirmed your report saying that Matt Riddle had too many chances. Yep. He's been reporting quite a lot of my news recently. Nice to see. Brad says, I've seen her wearing the brace on her Twitch streams even when she doesn't on TV. Yep, and that's absolutely fair, but she is now wearing it on TV. I think that's interesting. Oh, Wiggly, shame on you. When my youngest eats a pot noodle, it's almost always when she's with her dad, and I know why it happens, and I don't like it. Sean says, I know you said Alexa versus Rhea was a plan for SummerSlam until Alexa had to take time off. Could they still do the match at SummerSlam 2024? There is no possible way of answering that until 1, there has been a baby born. 2, Alexa Bliss has taken some time away to spend with her child. 3, she personally feels comfortable. 4, the storylines have been written to accommodate it. And 5, Rhea Ripley is still the champion at that time. You're asking for a huge amount of hypotheticals accommodating to guesswork. Blue says confirmed, copied. I guess they both start with C. I'll say confirmed. Superplex from Asuka onto Iyo Sky. They are maintaining the high tempo. Iyo kicks out pretty early overall there, considering a superplex. We are officially at the draw segment, so I expect them to focus a lot more on Charlotte. Charlotte is one of those who's reliably featured in draw segments. You always see her face if they think they can sell a ticket off it. Megan, pineapple on pizza is never acceptable. I don't want soggy pizza. But she kicked out too late there. I stand corrected on the kickouts. There isn't a dedicated time limit, James. I think Ronda Rousey came back pretty early after all. But it's not up to WWE. Essentially, they will wait until Asuka says, I want to come back now. Sai, you've got to let this one go. You're wrong. You're wrong and you're a bad person. That's just a fact. I'm always beware, Adam. Always. Joey says, do you know which EU wrestlers WWE are interested in for NXT Europe? I know some of them, but I also kind of right now guarantee that NXT Europe will be continuing. Rotation into the armbar. Can we get a triangle here? Asuka likes a triangle. I do like that they brace themselves ever so slightly there. But the match is starting to lose its momentum a little bit. Adam says, I know Triple H is still in creative and Vince is on his way out, which he isn't. So you don't know either of those. But think this. What if Vince McMahon and then he just makes up some fantasy booking? Like, what? What if all these things that aren't going to happen? Then all of those things happen. Joey says, why hasn't anything been announced for Fastlane? It's coming. It's coming. Tonight will make a lot of it more obvious as to where we're going. The Cena style situation will be the most telling. You never know. Maybe tonight's an AJ Styles heel turn. And that was the price. Again, momentum's a little bit lacking, but we're getting there. The dude says, what happens with Regal if NXT Europe doesn't pan out? Move into a producer-agent role, maybe. That kind of is his role anyway. He works a lot on talent relations. He's heavily involved in NXT and talent development. NXT Europe is not his main job. You said it before, Megan, and I just don't believe you. I just don't believe you. Oh! That is something you don't see every day. Can we get a replay of that? Chris says, I wouldn't mind Killian Dane coming back and being part of NXT Europe. Wouldn't mind if they brought back El Ligero. I would. El Ligero can go to hell. Adam says, thinking about it. I read it on. Yeah, no. What Axios was saying was that Vince McMahon could sell his shares. He hasn't. He also would still have a job even if he sold all of them. It's not the same thing. Now, if he wants to leave, he certainly can. But you are just throwing out completely random things. James says, this could be a 5-star match if it had the time. Yep, they could absolutely deliver at the highest level. They just won't be given the opportunity to. Moonsault, I was going to say lands, but it lands like a Charlotte Flair moonsault in that it doesn't. I think that's a fair deal there, Megan. More for you. Megan says, as a representative of Hell, I reject your suggestion of sending El Ligero to us. We don't want him. Stick him in limbo or something. Sean, we don't need to compare to individuals. We can just say Iyo has a fantastic moonsault. So that's all we need to say. We can just say she has a fantastic moonsault. We don't need to bully anyone else in doing so. Wiggly says, final hot take, the trolls have actual lives, which is garbage and you know it. Adam, I've read the Axios news article. You've clearly just read the headline. You've clearly just read the headline because you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. Like, in no way, shape or form. One, I know how to run my chat. Couldn't care less, Joey. Could not care less. Sai says, these two look like they're proving a point. Should have been a match on pay-per-view. Glad they're giving it time, though. Just bracing myself for an overbooked finish. Does seem that way. They've given it 2 commercial breaks, which is a pretty positive step, to be fair. After this, of course, it'll start the wrap-up. We do have, looks like 2 more tag matches to come. So it looks like a night of 3 tag matches and a women's match. We also apparently going to have Becky Lynch, so we'll see how that plays out. Quite possibly, Joey. It's hard to say. Adam, you're stating facts that Triple H will bring back Vince Russo. And you say that's stating facts. What the hell do you believe facts are if you believe that you're a Trumpist? You're a Trumper. You believe alternative facts. You believe whatever the hell you want to believe. You don't believe in reality. Blue says, who was your favourite moonsault, Tom? Kurt Angle. Kurt Angle all the way. Ruben is shocked that Matt Riddle has been released and says a whole load of stuff about AEW and Impact. Chris retracts his statement on El Ligero. I'm guessing you recognised that was quite a reaction from me and did some digging. Gary says, I don't know how US wrestling fans do this regularly with so many commercial breaks. It's so frustrating. The dude says, I would hope they run this back on a PLE. These two deserve more than a TV match broken up by commercials, in my opinion. Blue says, quite rightly, the article has facts. The facts just don't say anything other than what we already know. Vince has stock, and he can sell it. The FTC might be an issue. Yeah. Vince always had and could sell stock in WWE as well. There's nothing different. Adam says, fact is, this will happen. I believe it, which is completely contradictory. It's something you believe, which is not a fact, but it's also a fact. Adam, have you ever won an argument? Ever? Like at any point in your life? Because you don't seem like someone who actually succeeds in doing so. You seem like one of those people who are like, yeah, but it's true because I believe it. Yeah, no, but like you could... The vibe I'm getting is mansplaining. You know? But to also other men. All-splaining? I don't know. Wrong. Wrong-splaining. That's it. Wrong-splaining. You're a wrong-splainer. You're telling me facts which are wrong, but you refuse to believe that anything other than what you believe is right. You won't do well here. You won't do well here. I mean, you're not unfair there, Brad. Not unfair. Bailey says Jim Cornette will return to the WWE before Vince Russo does. Probably, yeah. This match is still going, and it's still going well. Charlotte Flair's just been sat there for about 20 minutes. Megan says, quick question, has anyone seen Cassandro yet? New movie on Amazon Prime about a Mexican exotico wrestler. It's pretty good. I have not. I've never even heard of it. Thank you for that. Sean says, is Asuka's Asuka lock a variation of the coquina clutch or a cross-face chicken wing? It's a renegade joke, isn't it? I believed it was a variant of the rear naked choke, similar to the Taz Mission. The coquina clutch, by the way, is a rear naked choke. Adam says, and I'm not a thinker, and I stopped reading everything after that because nothing in the whole world has been as obvious as that statement. Cheers, what? I hear that all the time, Joey. You'd be surprised. The dude says there's one thing this merger has proven is that there are many wrestling fans who also think they're business experts. Yeah. Literally, the thing I report most directly on when it comes to wrestling is the business aspect. It's a leg up that I have over quite a lot of wrestling journalists, and you're clearly not a regular here, or you would know that. Oh no, you're right, Chris. It is a cross-faced chicken wing. Huh. Oh. Yeah, because the arm's in the wrong place. Yeah, you're right. Ooh. This is brutal. This is a fun one. Dom says it's a good match. Both wrestlers look strong. Adam, the Annihilator. Don't worry, mate. I got it. There we go. There's Bayley getting involved. Charlotte then getting involved. Overbooking, a distraction. Asuka's taking her eye off the ball. V-trigger. This will be the moonsault. Charlotte Flair not getting involved. Completely misses the moonsault, but that'll be the win. And that is indeed it. Exactly as I predicted earlier. Bayley got involved. Charlotte got involved. The distraction cost Asuka the win. Good thing I just don't wrestling, or I wouldn't have known better. Just don't wrestling. So how are we rating that match? I'm giving it an 8. Overbooked by the end of it. As I mentioned, Dakota Kai did not get involved in any way, shape or form. Still not cleared. Very high quality. I loved where we were going with the finish, but we did not get there. We did not get there. The overbooking eventually did kick in. That drags it down a little bit for me. I'm giving the match an 8. I don't feel that's unfair, but I do think if we take out the commercial breaks and give these two a little longer, they will make magic. So I give it an 8.5, so that's a fact. Brad gives it a 9.5. Juan gives it a 6. Don gives it an 8.3. Loves his decimal points. Adam the Annihilator gives it a 10. Tougher Adam gives it an 8.2. Yeah, you've gone too far there, and you don't. Imagine wanting more interferences. Ridiculous. Bayley says ranking it at 9, but absolutely zero reason for Charlotte to show up. Just trying to keep her a face. Just trying to keep her as a face. The dude says 8, a bit overbooked. Would have been better without the commercials. Paul Heyman stating that the match John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa can happen as long as it's not tonight. Well, I appreciate that, Joey, but I have the power of nah. That's the beauty of it being my channel. I have the power of nah. Imagine wanting more interferences. What a ridiculous person. It looks like Jimmy Uso is back in the Bloodline. But Jimmy's not exactly doing good things by Roman. Jimmy, of course, actually left the Bloodline before Jay did. The whole Jimmy Uso character now does not make sense. Solo Sikoa looks set to get a bit of revenge. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but did that just confirm that the match will be at Fastlane, not tonight? Next up, we are back to tag team action. The Brawling Brutes, that being Butch and Ridge Holland, will take on Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. So he says, I'm in the minority and not thinking the Bloodline is on its last legs, but it's looking awful threadbare. No Sammy, Jay, and very little Roman. I really think they could do with a +1 from somewhere. I'm interested to see where that somewhere would be. If there could be another member of the Bloodline, who would you guys want involved in it? Personally, I might actually go Street Profits. Brad Becker says it did. Cool. Nice to know that I know so little about wrestling that my earlier prediction from the beginning of the month, in which I stated that it was going to be AJ Styles and admittedly, I actually went with Cody Rhodes. Did end up happening at Fastlane. It's nice to see that Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa are friends again. But yeah, I did think Cody. At this point, I honestly think it'll be Cody, Solo, and Kevin Owens against Judgment Day at Fastlane as well. They won't be coming. James says a new member of the Bloodline, Zilla Fatu. Joey says Jay's been the only interesting member. Juan Orozco says Jacob Fatu if they sign him. Gomar says I feel like WWE botched the Bloodline story and are currently scrambling to find something to make it make sense. The dude says the most logical answer is Jacob Fatu, but I believe he's under contract with MLW till 2025. And Gary says Jacob Fatu, the MLW one. Adam, I told you about the news already, and I told you exactly where you can find it. Go find it. I told you exactly where it was in the stream. I'm not going to repeat myself 5 or 6 times. Go find it. There we go. Sean saying Anna Jay used a rear naked choke called the Queen Slayer. Also thinks it'll be Charlotte versus Iyo at Fastlane. Wiggly says, is that the end of Asuka? No, she is indeed still alive. Sean says, who would have thought returning at SummerSlam last year would lead to Iyo being a champion over a year later? Triple H did, I tell you that. Triple H definitely did. Joey says Jacob Fatu and Zilla Fatu would be good additions. Very much a new world. Blue said it'd be nice for Roman to be there once in a while. He'll be there in a couple of weeks and back until we lead into Survivor Series. Then we'll probably take a little break until Royal Rumble time. And Chris suggests Nia Jax, which I know has been mentioned because of the relation, but I just don't think she fits the Bloodline characteristics. Will says great match. I'm glad that got a lot of time. And it did. There may have been 2 commercial breaks, but we still got plenty in between it. TNT Sports is showing a aftershave commercial featuring an actor from Stranger Things who is arrested on charges of drug trafficking. Good times. James says, I thought the Bloodline story could have been good to bring in the new generation of the Samoan dynasty. I think it still will. Personally, I can see Solo Sikoa becoming the new tribal chief. Bringing in, for example, the Gorillas of Destiny from over on New Japan. Tama Tonga and Tongaloa. I'd take it. It'd be a wonderful world to live in, I tell you. Oh, Adam, got it. You're a tell it like it is guy. What's the name of the guy? The alpha who tells it like it is? Which is just another way of saying, is a little whiny bitch. Andrew Tate, that's the bitch. Is that what you want to be? Gomar says Zilla is cool. I say give him a couple of months of indies and a year of NXT before bringing him back to the main roster. Brad says I'd rather see God in the Bloodline despite not being blood. And Book says it wasn't a clean finish, so any chance they run it back? I'd say there's a chance. There's always a chance. You tend to get the same matches again and again in WWE, especially with a smaller roster. Pretty Deadly have got a vignette. They're relaunching some people, aren't they? I suspect the people being relaunched may well have been at risk. Beautiful music. Beautiful music. Romantic. Adam, you're assuming that Dolph Ziggler wants to wrestle. That's the difference. Gary says Nia Jax in Bloodline would be the opposite to the usual. Each side would be trying to convince the other to please take her. And Joey says, imagine if the Saudis requested Tate for the show. Most people in that WWE locker room would refuse to be anywhere near him. Promise you that. Megan says there are other words for Tate, but none of them are suitable for broadcast. I think I nailed it. Bailey says, here's the paradox of Smackdown. There are no more than 5 or 6 matches per show, so the mid-card never makes much progress. That's a fair point. But hey, this is one of the reasons they're releasing people, unfortunately. You don't assume. What do you do, Adam? Do you guess? Hello, Martin Harvey. Funny, because, again, you're clearly not a regular here. If you did, and if you were, you wouldn't be making stuff up like that. I'd imagine you and Adam are the same person. Only makes sense. Jack says, can anybody tell me why the guy from Pretty Deadly is in a wheelchair for a shoulder injury? He's hurt, Jack. He's hurt. You could show a little bit more compassion. God, y'all are mean today. Chris says that was a very inspirational video from Pretty Deadly. Gary also saying Pretty Deadly are absolute gold. There is a lot of entertainment value available there, and I'm really quite enjoying it. Really quite enjoying it. Wiggly trying to put over Chariots of Fire. Never thought I'd see the day, and yet here we are. Okay, we're done with you, Adam. Go away. You're boring. You're not even a quality troll. If you're gonna troll, at least be entertaining. Joey says I wouldn't be shocked, to be honest. They're a fan of Logan Paul even though he filmed graphic stuff in Japan. Most people are fan of Logan Paul. Logan Paul, though, has made one pretty serious change in that he at least apologised for it and didn't do it again. Andrew Tate, meanwhile, just continues to be a complete little bitch. Gary says, as regards Pretty Deadly, they're superb wrestlers too with creative spots. The twin magic spot using a ring apron as a disguise was genius. You got some good wrestlers. That's the beauty of SmackDown at the moment. Really diverse bunch of people doing very, very different things. Oh, here come Troll 2, clearly not a regular. Martin Harvey thinks that everyone thinks I'm a knob. Guys, you guys are regulars here. Good old Martin is here all the time. We definitely recognise his name, don't we? Or what I think is Nigel Farage in the profile picture. Anyway, guys, go ahead. Tell me what you really feel and how Martin knows best that I'm a horrible person. Come on, guys. Come on. Give me the heat. Give me the heat. Give me the heat. Gomar says Logan also had a huge crypto scam, which he hasn't really done anything to make it right or explain it. I'm not really au fait with the crypto scam concept. I'm aware he's into crypto, but so is Mr. Beast. I believe they're doing the same thing. Eric just says no. Cool. Sai says pairing Firu, Grace and Waller could go one of two ways. Could raise his game, but at the moment Waller seems so far ahead of him that he's overshadowing him. Difficult one. Grayson Waller does have a lot of charisma. Just like a lot of charisma. And it does make it difficult. I think Austin Theory will be okay, but he is certainly lacking a little bit in the personality department. I just feel like it hasn't clicked for him. They haven't really tried to develop him as an individual, and it's really starting to show. The headlock swing. I like it. No, Adam the Annihilator. You're the only Adam who should be here. The dude says the increased number of trolls just means you're getting more over, Tom. Forever grateful to the YouTube algorithm for helping me find your channel. Appreciate that, the dude. Always lovely to hear. Ooh, okay. Just got a message from Sai that I'll be checking out after the show. He's putting someone on blast. Appreciate it. Brad says, we love you, Tom. You're the best. Appreciate you. Gomar thinks I'm pretty cool. Oh, lovely people. Chris even puts it in brackets sarcastically. Oh yes, Tom. Everything you put is wrong and the trolls are right. I mean, Brad says Tom's over and they're not, and they are not. That's why they're upset. If you come in and you say this happens, adios, and then a couple of minutes later, guess who's still responding? For some reason, you want to spend your life whining about mine. I'm just going to go ahead and live mine. Have a good day. Smackdown. We're almost 3/4 of the way through. The Brawling Brutes are in the ascendancy. Seems like we're heading into a commercial break. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller on the outside looking a bit beat up. Eric says Tom is one of the most honest people in the IWC. Appreciate that, Eric. That's exactly what I like to hear. Something I definitely take great pride in. Honor Roscoe says, you're reliable with your sources. That's why the trolls are mad. Well, to be fair, I mean, Christoph might be watching the show. He knows I'm reliable with my sources because he pretends to have my sources. James says, I like how the trolls always take a while to reply. They've got to take a while to think of something to say. It's very, very important to them. After all, their entire argument is undermined when a chat room full of people basically say, no, we don't mind the guy. He's all right. Joey says, where has Sheamus been? He hasn't been with the Brutes in a while. I think he's just taking a break, if I'm honest. He still works the occasional show, but man, has he been getting beaten up recently. I think he just works such an intensive style that sometimes you just need a moment. Just to breathe. Just to survive. Just to, you know, rest? I think it's just rest. I try my best, James. Let's see how we're doing. Because at the moment, we have 21 viewers. We have 23 likes. We have 5,248 subscribers. The short from earlier about Matt Riddle being released is up to 104 views. A lot of people very, 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 very different reactions in the comments to that short, I'll tell you that. So yeah, pardon me, ultimately having a pretty good day. And let's have a look. Oh my god. Oh no, I know this guy. This Adam comes in every now and then just to be a dick. I think as much as anything. Joey, I'm not planning a separate vid. There just isn't enough information, really. What I've shared can be pretty much summed up at the beginning of this in a couple of minutes. And to be honest, it's all there is to really know. Okay. Did not know you were Spanish, Jack. I was genuinely trying to translate that. So I said, this community is smart. If a troll comes in, it's like stepping over a dog turd on the pavement. You all get it. Yeah. Yeah. I believe it was, James. Adam says he calls a person a knob. I don't even know anymore. I've said it before, I'll say it again. We're very unfortunate that we do not get high quality trolls. Like, just give me a challenge, guys. Also, if anyone's not a fan of me dealing with it this way, let me know. Because if this is making you enjoy SmackDown less, then I'll just get rid of them. I'll just kick them out immediately. It'd be funny. Joey, I literally did an extra stream on Thursday. Yesterday I did an extra stream. Were you not there? James says, Tom versus the Troll Steel Cage match Mania 40. I'd just sit at the top of the cage and make them all cry. Wouldn't even pay attention to him. I'd just work the crowd and just leave. Chris says, I've got a feeling Carl and I will be covering the releases on Turnbuckle Talk unless some other big story happens. I think there's some good stuff for SmackDown, but really the big news right now is the releases. And yeah, Turnbuckle Talk is definitely the ideal environment for it. I think you might still be talking about it when it comes to the Raw Watch Party on Olay as well. Joey says, I mean for non-budget cut stuff. I try and give as much information as I can on whatever I have to share. Megan says, can I just take this opportunity to revel in all the whiny people complaining about the Elimination Chamber early start time? Welcome to our world. It's not even that early. It's 3 a.m. Pacific time. Just sleep early. I have to stay up. It sucks. Megan's right. Megan's right. Bailey says, pretty deadly is 2023's Breezango, and I loved Breezango. Sean says, I know the FDA are investigating Logan's Prime energy drinks. Apparently one bottle of Prime has a caffeine equivalent of 6 cans of Coke. Are they investigating it? I know it was referred to the FDA, but I don't know if they actually started. Hector says, I never wish for anyone to get fired or let go, but Matt Riddle didn't really seem to do himself any favours over the years. Not unfair. Not sure what you're quoting there, Gary. Gotcha, Chris. Appreciate it. Hello, Beer. Eric says, I can't believe it. They're giving Charlotte yet another shot. They didn't. That's not what happened. In no way did that happen. Logically, they're just setting up Asuka and Charlotte versus Iyo and Bailey next week. So I said, trolls are part of what makes this entertaining. I say give them some heel heat, then off they go. If they're hoping for no weird people, if we're hoping for weird people, we'll have a long wait. Just look at the mods. Look at the host. I mean, I come in here with baggage, and I'm okay with it. Joey says, do you have any big plans for the channel next year? Well, my plan for this year was to reach 5,000. Happy to say that I've done that. And at this point, it's just keeping hold of it. But for next year, we'll see what the numbers are. I don't know, really. I think, honestly, more of the same, and I'm pretty happy. Happy boy. Hello, Claudio Johnson. Welcome to the show. And thank you very much for subscribing on the YouTube side. You'll get a notification every time we go live with spoiler warning on Mondays and Fridays. And, of course, our Smackdown watch party, which you're watching now. Thank you very kindly. Chris says, yeah, they are. It was temporarily pulled off the shelves here in Canada as well. Thank you very much for the clarification. I didn't know it had gotten that far. This match is getting hot. There's just a lot going on at once. We have high quality heels in this. I hope they get a win because they rarely do. Ridge Holland and Austin Theory in the ring. Eric says, Tom, I think we can get 7 or 8k by the end of the year. I don't. I think we're doing good and I think we're gaining momentum, but that's a big number. Brad says, is 10,000 subscribers a number to go full time? There is no individual number to go full time on YouTube. Depends how much I'm earning. And I am, based on what I'm earning at 5,000, 10,000 will not be enough. Butch and Grayson Waller are continuing to scrap on the outside. The Boston Crab in play. I think Rich Holland's about to get stunned. Yes, he is. Austin Theory with his finish to follow. And that will be that. Joey says, have you looked into creating a website so people can view the info whenever they want? Sai and I have looked into this at some length. It is going to be a bit of a job because it does have to be updated, and that does mean more time taken, which means it might be a full-time thing rather than a part-time thing, unfortunately. That, or I would need to hire someone to watch my shows and then translate them to news. Which is not impossible. But yeah, as Sai says, we're taking our time with it. I'm very happy with what Sai's been offering and showing, and there's good stuff there. But I have very limited time. I work a full-time job. I also work this job, and I'm a parent. So I don't have too much time. Up next, in what I assume was going to be the main event segment, contract signing, John Cena and AJ Styles versus Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa for Fastlane. If Becky Lynch is indeed going to appear, and if LA Knight is going to appear, they need to do so soon. As Kervin says, no Becky Lynch tonight. James says, by Mania time, Tom will hit 10k easy peasy. Can't guarantee that. Cannot guarantee that. Eric says, doesn't Waller have like 2 wins this year? Yeah, it's not a lot. I think that is only his second one. Blue says, I'm not sure Prime has been released in Canada. Some places were stocking the American version, which did not pass the Canadian health regulations. Telling. Sean's asking for people's thoughts on Mortal Kombat 1. I've not played it yet, but I'm enjoying the commercials. Batista's a good actor, and also I really enjoyed his work in What We Do in the Shadows. He was a vampire. It was fun. Joey says that was a nice finish. How do we rate that match? The tempo was good. There were good heel work and there was a lot of flying to the outside. I also quite enjoyed the finish, even though it was clear where we were going. I'd give it a 7 and I'd be pretty happy with it overall. Claudio, I would love it if Dave Meltzer would build my channel. It would shoot up like nobody's business. But instead, Dave Meltzer and I, we just blocked each other on Twitter and we just move on with our lives. Don gives the match a 7.7. Jack is giving it a 7. Sai also a 7. And Brad a 7 as well. Yes, Eric, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn did get a vignette earlier on. Joey says maybe you could get one of the mods to help with running the website to take some of the workload off of you. Sai quite rightly saying they indeed have their own lives as well. I will eventually be looking to bring people in and basically create jobs, but I'm thinking logically it would end up being a family business. And then I would use it to take my kids on holiday. But I appreciate where your head's at, Joey. Devil says, I'm liking this Wall of Fury tag team. Hopefully we see more of it. James wants to talk about EAFC, which I've not played in any incarnation since about 2014. I moved on to Football Manager. I'm alright with it. Chris says, I'm here in Canada. I can go across the street to my grocery store and get some. My sauce, I'm Canadian. Chris dropping the sauces. Knows what he's doing. Bailey says, for the newcomers, note at the beginning of 2023, 5,000 subscribers was considered somewhat of a reach. Appreciate that, Bailey, because that is absolutely correct. I was being brave with it, and admittedly, I've helped myself along a little bit. The YouTube advertising has gone a long way to it, but the views are up. The subscribers are up about 100% because we almost doubled our number. The views are up 106%, which is nice. So we are seeing a return. We are seeing more views, and that's good. That's obviously a very good thing. They're mostly in shorts, so we need to work on that, but we are finding ways to continue that growth. 10,000 is not going to happen at the moment, as all of those new subscribers bed in and find the videos that appeal to them or videos that don't appeal to them. We're likely to be fighting against it a little bit, because the momentum that we've gained from those subscribers mean that we're going to be gaining more numbers. But at the same time, any subscribers of those 2,600 plus that don't really fancy it after seeing a couple of videos will drop off. For example, today I lost 3 subscribers. That's quite big for one day. I lost 3 subscribers. Now, admittedly, it's somewhat mitigated by the fact that, and I'll just double check the numbers, it's somewhat mitigated by the fact that I then gained another 9. So I've actually gained 6 overall today, but we are against it a little bit, and it will slow our momentum. Sean says Grayson's record couldn't be as worse as Miz's. I believe he only has 1 win this year. There are some bad records going on out there. Joey's not a man who likes to be in a box. The dude gives the match a 7, decent heat and in-ring action. James says no one even buys Prime here in Australia anymore, it just sits there. That's pretty much what's happening in the UK, or at least in my area. There was a point at which kids were buying it and sending pictures of it to all their friends as a status symbol. So I made sure that mine had one of every flavour. Since then, no interest whatsoever. And she was not allowed more than a third of a bottle per day. Joey, you're absolutely right. Mercedes news did a lot of numbers. Mania news. When you land a video that's doing well, we make it grow. We make it grow. Kevin says difficult to getting more subscribers because people review the same show. They do, and it's important to find your own voice and find your own creativity and put out something that people find entertaining. My main focus isn't necessarily on getting more and more numbers, even though like I ask for more likes and the like, because I do one day want to get as far as doing this full time. My hope is that by the time I'm 40, which actually isn't that far away, I would then be full time. The problem is, of course, I don't think that's fair on you guys. So my focus is on giving you what you want. A lot of people here really care about the Mercedes money news. I try and supply it. A lot of people care about Drew McIntyre news. I try and supply it. A lot of people care about Liv Morgan. I try and supply it. That's how YouTube works. You talk to the people who watch, you ask them what they want, and you give it to them. If there is one video I could make on one particular topic, I think Solo Sikoa's attacked AJ Styles backstage. If I could make one more video... Oh no, Jimmy Uso has attacked AJ Styles backstage. If I was only going to make one more video, what would you want it to be? What would be the most important thing for you to get news on? And then that will inform what happens next. Chris rightly pointing out, sticking to his sponsor for his energy drinks anyway. Solo Sikoa looking down on the action. Only John Cena's signature so far. There is a splash, which we didn't see. They did that off camera. Could really afford to sort out the camera. So I'm guessing there's going to be something next. Maybe Cena solo? Oh, I see Stephanie Hypes. Stephanie Hypes right behind the commentary team. She's been busy tonight. Sean says, speaking of Liv Morgan, do you know if she'll be back this year? Expected back this year, but whether or not they have a creative plan for her at that time, not guaranteed. They want her in the tag division a bit longer. Megan says, Grayson has 3 wins this year before tonight. Megan, our stat queen, of course. Tag match a couple of weeks ago, a dark match last month, an NXT title contenders match back in April. Miz has 2 wins this year, Tozawa a couple of weeks ago, and Ciampa back in July. Dom says, Smackdown wasn't bad tonight in my opinion. 15 more minutes of it yet, Dom. It's not over yet. I still remember when they had it in the UK and it actually just lasted an hour and 40 minutes. Wonderful time. Adam says, Solo versus Cena. They want it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. They want it. And if they want it, it tends to mean that they get it. This should be our last commercial break. Naturally, I can't guarantee that that's the situation, but it should. And I will take should. You know? I'll take it. So, let's sum up what we've seen tonight. The wrestling quality has been excellent. We started with Street Profits versus Rey Mysterio and Santos Escobar. Fantastic match. Really high pace, really athletic, even though everyone kept jumping past Montez Ford. We're continuing to establish the Street Profits as a heel team now under Bobby Lashley and show the connection. Just show the connection that they're having. This was, of course, followed by Asuka versus Iyo Sky, which, honestly, if we're going to do a contract signing, it's not going to happen. Have that as the main event, but we are where we are. The women's match was also fantastic, a little overbooked for the finish, but it was hard-hitting, it had plenty of time, and again, the tempo was good. You may have noted that I like high-tempo matches. So sue me. I don't like the slow, methodical, plodding stuff that was done by Roman Reigns, it was done by Randy Orton. Doesn't suit me. This, of course, was followed by the Brawling Brutes, that being Butch and Ridge Holland, versus Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Pardon me. You will note that Austin Theory and Grayson Waller have been on TV pretty much every week. They are making a point of ensuring that they get plenty of attention. James says, all the ads I get now is about pizza in Dubai. Think they want me to go on holiday. Dubai basically just bought a ton of ads and everyone's now being exposed to them. Ooh, we have ourselves a Tag Team Championship rematch. Looks like Payback's going to be a lot of... Sorry, not even Payback. Looks like Fastlane's going to be a lot of rematches. We're going to get another attempt at Shinsuke versus Seth. And Cody's going to be there, nearby. The dude says, I remember the old days when JR confirmed when the last commercial break was. Yeah. AJ Styles being strapped up. The Good Brothers are there. Jason Jordan is there. One Good Brother's there. Is it just Carl Anderson and Mia Yim? Mia Yim, of course, who earlier today blocked Ken Thompson. Kermit says, I don't remember SmackDown being 3 hours show for one night. Yeah, it's not. It's a 2-hour show. Joey says, I get spammed with cruise ads. I get a lot of Fly Emirates. James says, Dubai just have an ungodly amount of money for everything. True Saudis as well. There was a while when we were getting Saudi ads on YouTube. I remember having discussions about how to try and stop them and just failing massively. Just failing. Logically, AJ Styles will still be in the match at Fastlane. I mean, it's booked. It's there. I do expect both Jimmy and Jey Uso to be in separate tag matches. Just awkward for everyone involved. Why are things going pop? Solo waiting for his signal there. Always nice to see. Joey says Luke Gallows is injured. Still could be there though. Like, Carl Anderson's flown out to look concerned. Paul Heyman is heading down to the ring. Will says, I'm guessing with AJ being taken out, it will lead to an AJ versus Roman match. Long term, I think yes. This could be a great moment for a Cody Rhodes. Or in fact, just a Jey Uso. I say just. Jey Uso's a big deal now. The dude says, there's 12 minutes left. Let's get this craziness in the ring somehow. Easy way to do it. Paul Heyman talks about the match not happening. John Cena comes down to say he needs to find a way to make it happen. He's threatened by Jimmy and Solo. Someone comes to his rescue. Carl Anderson telling AJ Styles not to get involved with the Bloodline. That's interesting. James says the Australian Airlines are beefing with Qatar Airlines, but then it just adds on Dubai, Qatar Airlines, and everything Saudi. Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa now heading down to the ring. Gotta be Jay. If AJ Styles is taken out, there's gotta be a replacement. Sai says this might be when we find out who got traded to Smackdown. Would be Cody then. Jonathan says, I like this little Paul Heyman not knowing who's making these decisions. Adam suggests either The Rock, nope, or LA Knight. More likely. Dom will say it'll be CM Punk. Also, no. John says maybe Becky comes to John Cena's rescue. I did think that. I wouldn't hate it. I'd pop. I'd pop hard. There's usually... What's the opposite of an overrun? An underrun? There's usually an underrun. James says the Undertaker is back. Give me the strangest, wildest guesses you can possibly come up with for tag team partners for John Cena. Just completely out of nowhere, out of left field, the most ridiculous things you can think of. Okay? It's going to be Brutus the Barber Beefcake. It's the only option. No, they need a stone cold killer to handle the threat of Solo Sikoa. Do you know what they need? Marty Jannetty. Give me insanity. Wiggly says The Rock, which is insane. James says Hulk Hogan, equally insane. Brad Becker says Boogeyman. There's a good one. There's a good one. Jonathan Rodriguez gives me 3. We can do better than that. Devil says a Randy return. Nope, nope. Joey says it must be Punk. Adam says Paul Heyman's getting the Dom effect. Good. Nicholas James. Spot on, mate. Well done. Well done. Jack says the Brooklyn Brawler. Dom says D'Lo Brown. Chris says Barry Horowitz to team with John Cena. It's really interesting seeing where your brains are, guys. I love this stuff. Joey says maybe Ryback will help Cena. Logically, it has to be Cody. Still plenty of heat for Paul Heyman. Jimmy Uso is taking over. James just says God. To be fair, God is undefeated at WrestleMania. It was a SummerSlam match, wasn't it? God is undefeated in the WWE. Bailey suggests Adam Pearce. I believe that's a Rocky-chan. James is good at this. Goes insane and says Tony Khan. Jimmy Uso's really pushing that bloodline thing hard. I would love it if Roman was a tag team partner. Chris says Harvey Whippleman. There's a blast from the past. Kevin says probably Vince McMahon. Wiggly has just given us all the names he can possibly think of. Megan throwing out Doink. Sean says Chris Jericho. James says Matt Cardona. Potential for Drew? Here comes a John Cena. It's going to beat up everyone. Joey says, it's me, John. It was me all along. You have to say the second, John. It was me all along, John. 5 moves of doom. Cena standing too tall. Suggests next week we might have to find out. There we go. Now Cena's getting beat up. Dom says Chris Masters. There's a blast from the past. Megan saying Miss Piggy. Shane McMahon. Wiggly saying Sable. Goes and saying Kermit the Frog. James says the Miz is invisible friend. Yeah, they'll just start getting beat up now by random darkness. Brad suggests Rikishi. Might be a little bit crass here. Does John Cena have an erection? I know I'm being crass, but I see it. The dude says, what does everybody want? It's Al Snow. Bailey saying Ezekiel. Chris says the Mountie. He's a Mountie. I think we're just too late in the show now. Jane suggests the Hand. The Hand. Hey, look, I saw it. Okay. Repo Man. At the moment, no one. Nobody seems to care about John Cena. More spikes. Sean suggests Dean Ambrose. Sergeant Slaughter. I think the show ends with John Cena getting beaten up, to be honest. Wiggly with Angry Miz Girl. That's the one. Jimmy Uso broke the code. You're not allowed to do a ya boy, which is apparently what that's called. Like, legally, you're not allowed to do that. It's copyright. I think Jimmy just hurt his tit. Fair, Brad. James says Jimmy is waiting for something. Jimmy's being told to slow down. The referee told Jimmy Uso to slow down with the splash. They're going to sign themselves a contract. They're going to say it's going to be a handicap match. And then we'll wrap up. And then next week, someone, probably Cody, will come to John Cena's rescue. Overall, I would say it's been a very good Smackdown. Genuinely very high quality. The Bloodline really weren't egregious about it. There wasn't too much of them as there has been at times. Oh, he wants another splash. I like that he has a dominant leg. The Usos, just in general, always have one dominant leg whenever they're coming off the top. You'll see it because they plant it in the middle. Joey says no one comes out. Not this week. Next week. Sai says really good show. Different format that kept us guessing. Yeah, I don't mind the placing of the women's match now, given what we finished with. PW Insider were clearly reporting incorrectly. They were reporting that the match would happen tonight, and nope. Not at all. James says SmackDown is carrying WWE. Jonathan Rodriguez says, oh, come on. Green shirt guy, suggests Megan. Lots of options. At this point, they're killing time. We got a replay. We're going to have a very brief replay of The Rock. The dude says, yeah, good show. Followed up well after they had Rock last week. Yeah, The Rock will have spiked a rating. Their job now, essentially, is just to keep that sort of rating. And yeah, they've delivered good. A casual viewer who tuned in last week when they heard The Rock was on, if they tuned in this week, there's enough there to keep them interested, I feel. And that, as they say, is that. Show's over. Nothing to see here. We've had 26 likes, I've had 300 views, and we've had plenty of people coming through the doors, including, to be fair, a couple of good old-fashioned trolls. Well, I say good. A couple of trolls. Sai says, I think they're relying on people thinking his partner could be The Rock, which it won't. They can drag this on for a while. They can. There was a Rocky chant, and certainly the idea of it being The Rock works for them. James says, Iyo and Asuka's match could have been longer. I don't feel it could have, actually. It got about 20-25 minutes. Joey says, it was a bit disappointing. I thought someone would come out and help Cena. They will take their time with it. Ricky says, take care, Tom, and good night. Thank you for the watch party, and that's what I want to say to all of you right now. As usual at this point, it is 3 a.m. and Tom Colohue wants to go to bed. So I just want to say a huge thanks to all of you for joining me, for watching the shows earlier, for seeing some of the shorts that we've been doing. Thank you so much for what you've invested into me and my channel. And at the very least, thank you for your time, your friendship, and your company. I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic. I'll see you all very soon. Also, apparently, I'm a knob.